Okay. So I don't even do live videos, but I felt led to do this. Hey y'all. Yeah, so it's me, Marquita. Excuse the moving boxes and stuff behind me, but I felt led to share my testimony live, which is completely outside of my comfort zone. This is something I never, ever, ever, ever in life do. And yeah. So if you're familiar with me, I do this practice called my one word. And so, as part of my one word, I pick one word for the year and I focus on that and allow God to uh, work in and through my life through that word. So, my word for 2017 was resurrection. And at the beginning of 2017, I found myself with a newborn, preparing to at the time I was enrolled in law school, and I was, having to make the decision of whether I was going to go back to law school full time or return to work because I had to pay bills. But I was praying and trusting God to work everything out for us. And so that led me back to work where I was working for Bank of America um, as a software developer. And so, um, yeah, I did that. Hey, brother. So I was working for Bank of America for as a software developer, and actually in this particular role, I actually wore a lot of different hats, and so um I can kind of start right there. One of the ways that God manifested this word resurrection in my life was by resurrecting my desire to get back to true problem solving and causing me to really evaluate why I wanted to be in software development and programming anyway. And so throughout the course of that job, I learned tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of things. And one of the skills I picked up was software testing. Now, I've done unit testing as a programmer, but not so much as, that being my specific role. I also picked up the skill of doing being a business analyst and also a little bit of Scrum Master work. So, needless to say, all of these things happened for me last year, but be without, I would be dishonest if I wasn't saying that last year wasn't difficult. As a matter of fact, I had some of the greatest faith challenges I've had. Um, you may know that I have a son, and I still am a single mom, and I found myself juggling full time work and full time parenting. And I had days where I was just like intimidated by the responsibility, and I was scared, and I was praying that I was making the right decisions. I was praying for his dad. I was praying that, our situation would change. I was praying that, life would just truly shift for us. And um, another way that God manifested that word resurrection for me was in resurrecting my desire and study of his word and really getting deep in studying the word of God and really applying it to my life, because here I am saying I love God and talk about God, write about God on my blog, and knowing that I have a ministry calling, I would sometimes kind of straddle the fence. And I would say having a child has really helped me to grow up and mature. So it helped me to see the error of my ways and really look at myself in the mirror, because what I do, my son does. Like if I'm typing on my computer, he goes and gets his little baby computer and types on it and tries to type on mine and tries to imitate and repeat the things that he sees me doing. And so all of that being said, like it really took me back to the Bible where Jesus said he only did what he saw his father doing. And so if I said I was a Christian, if I said I believe in God, um, I had to do what I said, do what God was doing. Well, rather do what I saw God doing. And the only way I could do that is by studying the word and really applying it to my life. And so actually another thing that God resurrected in my life, it was again, like I said before, he resurrected a desire for me to really understand why I wanted to do programming and development. And it really got me back to my core of who I am, which is being a problem solver and helping people. And he also resurrected a desire to move because, like I said, 2017 was a difficult year. It really stretched me in a lot of ways and matured me in a lot of ways, and brought me to a place of resolve and healing. Like, I acknowledged my faults and my mistakes and things and choices I made instead of blaming other people and things that have happened to me in the past. Because something that a lot of people tend to do is, they'll blame their past or blame circumstances versus owning up to their mistakes. And so 2017, I owned up to my mistakes. I owned up to my poor choices. So because of the difficulties I was experiencing, work-wise, one of the things I encountered was a furlough. I was a contractor, and being a contractor meant that I didn't get paid if I didn't work. However, I was fortunate enough to negotiate my contract that I had leave. But with that furlough and then putting a whole bunch of unnecessary stress on myself, I ended up getting sick, which also, whenever I didn't go to work, especially if that after that leave ran out with the furlough, I didn't have, I wasn't going to get paid for it. And so it really, all of those things combined, like the choices I made, knowing that I had a son that I had to provide for and take care of, and also knowing that I really wanted to be, I wanted to capitalize off of the gifting that I had as a person in tech. So because of that, it really resurrected another thing for me, which was a desire to work for a major tech company. I think the first time I interviewed for Google was like back in 2010 or something. And, at that point in my career, I was just very insecure. I had allowed the forces that be to tell me that, I wasn't good enough as a programmer when in actuality, I just hadn't really been doing it regularly. And it was something that I was good at in school. Like, I was like one of the top students in my classes doing programming, writing programs. And I just loved it because it helped me to solve problems. And as God would have it today, I got another analogy for it that, sometimes programmers are like writers because we have to be able to know the end, know what our end goal is, and be able to write our code, or in this case, write our syntax to solve the problem or to accomplish that goal. Likewise, the same thing with a writer, they're writing with a plot or a story in mind. So last year, and to kind of summarize it, last year was hard, but it was amazing. Like, I feel like I've grown and matured in so many ways, and I feel stronger and more deeply rooted in my faith. And I still have a passion and a heart for God and for ministry and ministering to others, especially wherever they are, and recognizing that ministry isn't always in the pulpit. Like, I question why I wasn't able to finish my minister's training back in, I think the first time was 2011, then the next time was 2014. And so I recognize now that a lot of the lessons that I needed to learn and thus be able to share with people were things that I was going to learn on the job, so to speak. And so God resurrected all of these things for me. He resurrected a love for writing. Like, I was able to do more blog posts. I did some more videos on my YouTube channel. He resurrected a desire and a need and a necessity for forgiveness. And that's something that's like a big thing that's on my heart. Helping to bring people healing through teaching them about forgiveness. And it's very, I don't know if this is a word, essentiality, but it's very important and essential part of being a Christian. And so all of that to say, I'm going to share a part of what I went through. So I have been interviewing for jobs from about June May, June timeframe until December. And I had gotten tons of no's. Like, I submitted so many resumes. I know I applied for well over 100 jobs, and I knew I was qualified for it, but I knew it was timing. Like, I just knew in my heart that it was timing. Like, it wasn't a matter of me not being qualified. And even to push myself even more, I started taking Udemy classes, like, just so that way I could get back to where I was. I started taking, I used to take Coursera courses before, and I posted a link about them in the past, where you can take, basically get nano type degrees online. And so I've taken some of those, but I took every Udemy course I could take on the fundamentals of software development and algorithms and data structures and things that I know, and I use, but I don't use from a fundamental basis. And so I took all of those courses. I was taking courses on software testing because I wanted to be able to share what I was learning with other people. And that's eventually one day going to be a means of how I help other people get jobs. But I took all of these courses. I would be up till like 1 or 2 in the morning and still would have to get up and go to work. Well, take my baby to daycare and go to work. And I would just keep studying, like coding, doing whatever I can. Whenever I had free time at work, I would be taking courses because it's helping me be better at work. I did so much of that. And again, with the interviews, I got to a point, like at the beginning of December, I was like, God, why am I still going on all these interviews? Why am I still having this hardship, having this struggle of, trying to find the right job? But one of the jobs I applied for it towards the end of October. And I just had gotten to the place where I was like, well, if it's meant for me, it's going to happen. If it's not, it is, it is what it is. And so I applied for this company and I did research on it. I was like, I didn't know that all of the technology, or a lot of the technologies that I use, were created by this company. And so everything that could happen the week, honestly, I promise you, this was nothing but God. So my screening call, I had my phone completely died in the middle of the call. And so I went back to, I was leaving work and put my phone on the charger, and then it came back on, and then it cut off again. And then needless to say, I had to reschedule the call, reschedule the second interview. I had to do a whole bunch of things, and it just was not falling into place. At least that's what I thought. But I had my first screening call that went well. My second one, my technical interview, my second technical interview rather. Then I had an interview with the associate director of the office, which was my third interview. And then finally, the week before Christmas, I had my fourth interview, and everything that could happen for me to not go happened. My baby ended up getting hand, foot, and mouth disease, by all things, because it was going around his daycare. So I had to take off the first 2 days of the week, and I couldn't technically afford to take off any more days, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was supposed to go. And so needless to say, I went, and it was what I needed. Like, I felt like regardless of what happened, whether I got the job or not, I knew God was speaking to me and was telling me that I needed to, it basically gave me that rejuvenation, that resurrection, so to speak, that I needed, as far as how I looked at my career. Like, if I would have gotten that job, I would have had everything that I was looking for. And I think the funny thing about this is that, I was prepping to study and do another round of interviews with Google. I had been taking all of these courses, like I mentioned to y'all, and like every other year or so, I'll start back interviewing with Google, because you have like basically a year off. And so I was going through all of this stuff, and I was like, man, I don't know. And when my baby got sick and everything that happened with the interview that week, and even though, going there was very encouraging, I was just like, it is what it is. So the interview was that Thursday before Christmas, which was December 22nd. That Friday, they called me saying that they were going to extend me a conditional offer, and they would do the numbers and everything. And I was like, okay. And it was just like, yes, I got a Christmas gift. And so the week of Christmas, I really didn't expect to hear anything, although they mentioned that I may hear something back. And so I didn't hear anything the week of Christmas. I didn't hear anything until 2 weeks later, which was the 5th of January. And they gave me an offer. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I got a new job. Yes, yes. And then I didn't have the physical offer letter. And so my nerves were kind of like, okay, I don't really want to share this, at work, because I don't want any retaliation. I don't know when my offer day is going to, I don't know when I'm actually going to start work yet. And I don't know what's happening. But I will say this, when I went for the interview, I know without a doubt, I heard God say, this is the job. And so on the 5th, I got the offer over the phone and accepted it. But I went into work on the 5th was that Friday, the 8th. And I got a call from my contracting company that my contract was being cut short with the bank. And I was like, what in the world? Not to mention, like I said, I had taken on all these roles. I was being a software developer. I was doing business analyst work. I had also picked up some ETL skills. And at that time, I was actively being a software tester. So I knew it wasn't anything that I had done. And I knew that, I had made some changes personally to being more disciplined, going to bed earlier and getting to work earlier. So I knew it wasn't anything that I did. But I saw it as an answered prayer, because I didn't want to speak about the job offer, especially knowing that I didn't have my offer letter in hand and I didn't want there to be any retaliation or anything. And so needless to say, I didn't get my call about my start date until my last day at my last job. And I just thought it was so funny, because as I'm walking out of the office, I get the call saying, okay, your start date is going to be XYZ day. And so I take all of that to say, like I was sharing with you guys, that God resurrected a lot in my life last year. He, while I say that 2017 was incredibly hard, but it grew me up, it matured me, it made me to be a better person and mature and grow up. Like, I had to be disciplined and do all of this study and taking all those classes and everything so that I could get a better job and be in a better position to take better care of me and my son. And ironically enough, one of the things that God also resurrected was me living in a certain place. And I had given up on moving there and was like, well, it is what it is. I'm not going to move back there, and I'll just go wherever God says to go. And so lo and behold, the job is in that place. So that's why you see all these boxes behind me. I'm still unpacking, and who knows when I'm going to be done. But everything that I wanted in a job, I wanted to be able to travel and take my child with me. I wanted to be able to work in a company where I was going to be constantly learning, and I was going to be in a positive, healthy environment. And my particular company now specifically focuses on hiring people who have a high emotional intelligence, so that way you can work with people well. And just knowing that, when I finally surrendered everything to God and let go and stopped trying to control things and stopped trying to fix everything myself, that God worked it out for me. And he worked it out the way it was supposed to work out. And for that, I can say that 2017 was really a year of resurrection. And one of those last things that I wanted to mention is that God resurrected a desire and a passion for writing and for encouraging other people through writing. And so one of those things that I did over the course of the last year was I wrote a book. And I wrote a book about my journey. And I'll post the link, I guess, in the video when it's done. But I wrote a book, and it's called Above the Chaos, and it's on Amazon. And I hadn't even told people. Like, I think like 3 people knew, 4 people knew. And so all of that to say, I don't know why I had to do this live. I guess this was just God getting me out of my comfort zone. But more importantly, like, I do believe that this is to encourage somebody who is really deciding whether to trust God with everything. And I gave God everything, like everything. the good, the bad, and the ugly and the bitter parts of my life, and not just, you know, things that I've gone through as a result of my own choices, but things that were unavoidable. And I've really seen God give me beauty for ashes. Like, I put that stuff before him, and he's really changed like my outlook on life. And like, I've had points in my faith where I've questioned God and questioned, you know, my belief in God. And I know without a doubt, even despite the things that have happened and the choices I've made and the things that I've gone through, that um, God is real. He loves me and he loves you, and that he's faithful and he's good and he's great. And I just know that it's kind of like my little theme song, like when Beyonce's album last year came out, the song I'm Sorry. The one favorite part of the song was "Me and my baby gonna be all right." And I would say that all the time. Well, I guess it wasn't last year, that was while I was pregnant. But all of that to say, God really took care of me and my baby and looked out for us and put us in a better position to succeed. And yeah, I don't know why I felt like I was supposed to share this, but I do hope that this blessed you and that this encouraged you. And so if you know someone who needs some encouragement on their journey as a woman parenting alone, as a single mom, please share this video, share I'll post a link for my book in the tag. But yes, so yeah, I have a book and I'm talking about my life. And I guess it's not really anything new because I share my testimony all the time. I write devotions and stuff, and I've been doing it for almost 10 years. So it's not really anything new, but when you have something like a book that's like real and it's written, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you can't get away from it. So all of that to say, I hope that this would have blessed you, and that I also encourage you to do my one word. My word for this year is actually a 2-part word, is discipline and execution. And I'm just trying to continue to walk out discipline as God leads and execute the things that he wants me to do. Like this. This is something that's completely outside of my comfort zone. I don't do live videos. I like to record them. I like to control things. But yeah, so you know, God's working on me with that. But I hope y'all have a great night. And yes, I'm gonna post the link and love y'all. Bye.